I just decided to go out one day driving the car. Yeah, I wrapped it around a tree. I don't remember physically being there, but I remember where I went was wild. It's basically just white light and there's clouds.
You didn't go and do 10 years of therapy.
No.
You had a spiritual experience and then instantly you just looked at life completely differently. What's up, guys? Scotty here with another episode of the Make Men Great Again podcast. Got an interesting guest for you guys today. We just met each other on Instagram. I put a post up and said, hey, we've had a guest fall out. Does anyone have a powerful story or some wisdom that they would like to drop on the podcast? I've got one slot left open. And our guest today DM'd me. We didn't know each other and said, hey, I think I've got a story for you. And you know, we'll go into a few of the things that we discussed. He sent me a letter and said, "Okay, this is what happened." And I thought, "Wow, this is an amazing story." So he's here to share that story with you guys today. And so, with that said, Stretch, welcome to the Make Men Great Again podcast.
Thank you, Scotty. You're a legend, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So, Stretch, for the listeners that didn't get to read that email.
Right.
And be privy to our conversations. Let's start with the accident. You had a car accident.
Yep.
That changed your life. How long ago was that car accident?
It was between maybe 6 and 8 months ago. It was last September. So
wow, so it's still recent. So you had a car accident, and we're going to go into today what life was like before the car accident.
Yep.
The car accident itself, and then what things have changed as a result of the. If you guys don't know what an NDE is, you can have a look on YouTube, but it's a near-death experience, and there's people all around the world, thousands and thousands and thousands of accounts of people who have these near-death experiences. An experience where whether it's terminal cancer or whether it's a car crash or whether it's whatever. I watched someone else who drowned. That they don't die, but they nearly die, and they have this experience of crossing over somewhere that they kind of, some people struggle to explain, some people don't. So we're going to kind of talk through that. But go back to if it's okay with you, go back to the car crash for the listeners now. Walk us through that situation at the time as best as you can.
Yeah. Well, I was basically at a friend's house.
Yeah.
Living up there for a little bit, and shit went south. So I moved back down to mum's.
Yeah.
And I was not a good person, not a very nice person. And shit.
It's all right, take your time.
I just decided to go out one day driving my car. It was unregistered, things like that. And yeah, I wrapped it around a tree. I don't remember it too much, but
Were you straight? Like, were you straight at the time? Were you intoxicated?
I was under the influence of cannabis.
Yeah.
Wasn't drunk, nothing like that. But it was very early in the morning, which was strange for me. So, but fuck. Just froze up, bro.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Take your time. I would imagine that speaking about this, being that it was a recent event, that, it would be somewhat challenging, especially, we're on camera and stuff like that right now. But just take your time.
Yeah.
So you were feeling emotional when you were driving? You were smoking weed? Were you like, you weren't thinking about crashing your car around a tree like on purpose or anything? What did you hit? Do you remember how you crashed?
No, I don't at all. Well, I was in a police chase, according to the court documents and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And witnesses and stuff. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't a nice person, man. I was dealing with police. Police were dealing with me all the time, and drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. And then when I hit the tree, my head hit the tree, went through the windscreen.
Yeah.
And I was just there. I was laying there, and I don't remember. I was knocked unconscious.
So you're unconscious
at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember physically being there, but I remember where I went.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was wild. It was absolutely wild. It's basically just a complete white, like close your eyes and it's black,
Yeah.
but picture it as white.
Gotcha. So just a whole bunch of white.
White everywhere.
Yeah. White light.
White light, almost clouds kind of thing, like I'm
Yeah.
in the clouds. And, yeah, I hear a voice saying basically, what do you want to do?
Wow.
What do you want to be here, or do you want to go back?
That's better.
And yeah, I basically begged for my life. I said, I'm not done. I need to swing this pendulum back the other way. And like I got a mission. I got a journey to do. I'm not done here. So
Wow. So, and it's interesting how you can recall that. How, like, was this like happening? How long were you in this place for, do you think? Like, how long did it feel like, I should say?
Oh, maybe it felt like around like an hour. It felt like I was there for an hour.
Were you having back and forth? When you say you were begging, like, I'm just trying to understand, was it you're having an ongoing conversation, or was it like one of those times, where, I don't know, you're doing something really fun and the time goes fast, but you kind of know it's a little bit longer? Or was it that it actually felt like an hour that you're having a conversation with this voice where you said you're begging? Like, is it back and forth, or is it just you kind of experiencing, I don't know, what was it?
It was basically yes or no questions from whoever this person was, whoever this spirit, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much a back and forth. It was, it's kind of hard to explain. It felt like an eternity. But yeah, in reality, it was only a couple of minutes. So
wow. And I mean, obviously, I have not had any of the experience, but as we discussed, off in Instagram, I have done some spiritual ceremonies which can mimic going to some of these places, this spiritual place, and maybe if I could share for me personally what it felt like when I was having a conversation, or at least it is hard to describe. It's not like you and I have a conversation now. Sometimes it was, but when I went to the white light place, which was a different journey, that was on the Toad,
right.
It was no conversation. It was as if telepathically,
yeah, right.
I was knowing stuff and getting like that. What you said, like questions or stuff like that. It was not a regular type of conversation. Does that ring any bells for you? Like, did you have any of those kind of like? Did it feel like a kind of a telepathic conversation? Like you weren't looking at. And you weren't seeing anything but the white light, right? So were you hearing it with your ears, or were you feeling it with your body? If you were to reflect,
I think it wasn't my physical body hearing it.
Yeah,
it was like I'm hearing it from a higher up. You know what I mean?
Wow.
From an outside of my body kind of thing.
Yes,
like a higher up. It was almost like an echo. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I guess if we want to break it down for a second, you're not Stretch, the physical being. You are whoever you are. Stretch, the spirit, right?
The conscience.
The conscious, and therefore your spirit's having conversation. Your spirit doesn't have physical ears,
right?
So obviously, I'm just thinking out loud. Mm-hmm. It would make sense that however you hear things, it's not through the same type of. I'm sure someone much smarter than us will have a way to describe this better, but we're doing a good enough job. So you're having this conversation, you're begging, like, are you having a moment in this time where you're reflecting back on your life and going, because obviously it sounds like you're kind of confidently or I don't know what the right word is, but kind of saying, hey, look, yes, I was a bad person in a sense. Mm-hmm. Did you know that leading up to that point but just couldn't stop it? Or was it that in this moment of this white light, it all came washing over you and going, wow, this isn't me. I don't want to be that person anymore. Like, what was the experience of coming to that realization?
Well, I was a very lost kid. I was a broken boy. Mm. I obviously knew right from wrong, things like that, but I I didn't know where I was going. And it's like everything I was doing, everything I was doing seemed like I wasn't learning, like I wasn't learning from my mistakes and this and
Yes.
that, or these things were just happening, you know what I mean? I'm like, with trouble with police and stuff like that, like I just felt like I couldn't, like I was trying to get out of that
Yeah.
type of thing, and then
Nothing you did was kind of
was
working.
kind of working. And it's like, I feel like my life had to go that way to kind of make me who I am today,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like I needed to experience those things, as bad as that sounds.
Yes.
So
I can relate to that. My wife just said to me downstairs before, why does it take you so many times? Because as I shared off camera, I just had this huge realizations overnight. I think I heard someone else say, like, men, I don't know if it's all men, but a lot of men tend to learn the hard way.
right,
So, I can understand that for some people you have to hit rock bottom or you have to be thrown through a thing. So we said before at the start of the podcast, like, where there was three main things we're going to kind of talk about today. There's the event itself, there's the before, there's the after. We've just touched on, and I definitely want to go and bring it back to this a little bit deeper, but just for some context for the listeners and also for me, because I don't fully know, your story.
yeah.
Take us back to, let's not go just before, like take us back to your childhood. What do you think led? Because maybe there's some parents, we typically generally have a slightly older a demographic who watch, maybe 30s to 40s, but they've probably got kids, or maybe I hope that there's younger people who find this on YouTube and things like that, and they learn from this story, either to encourage them towards maybe connecting with a more spiritual side potentially, because this is something that's not like super woo-woo of like, I don't know, some hippy-dippy stuff. This is like, it's so out there, like, this is the way I was, I had this event and boom, my life changed.
Right.
So walk me back through, like, not even teenagehood yet, but like childhood. What did you think you were different? Like, walk me through, like, if you were to give me a summary of maybe we'll go childhood, then teenagehood, but let's start with childhood.
Look, I was diagnosed with autism when I was 4 years old, and I didn't really know it at the time, but I was a weird child. Some of the things I'd do, some of the things I'd say, and yeah, I guess that played a bit of a part. But also, go back to say parents, mum and dad were arguing quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very nice at home. It was quite crap, I guess.
Yeah. We can go as shallow or as deep as you feel like sharing, but is there anything that would give context to, like, what were the things, if you feel safe to share, like the main things that, if you recall, like, really stand out as maybe key moments that maybe shaped who you became? Because a lot of times when, like I was very rebellious, and my parents were, on the surface, pretty decent parents. It wasn't too bad for me per se, but my experience was negative, and that led to other things. So I can imagine if the experience is very tumultuous, extremely stressful, hurtful, these types of things, that really shapes the perception we have of ourselves, perception we have of the world, and all of these emotions get trapped in, and they've got to come out somehow. So is there anything you can share on? Do you feel comfortable sharing anything about that?
Yeah, of
I don't want to
course.
force you to do anything on those sort of things.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. So
okay, cool. So walk me through childhood. Like, what sorts of things were kind of going on?
Well, I couldn't tell you about mum and dad's side of things. Like, that's always been a big question mark for me. They always had my best interest at heart, but I guess they weren't. They were there, but they weren't emotionally there. Like,
Yes.
I could never turn around to my mum or dad and say, like, the word beautiful or gorgeous or you're doing great, or I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
kind of things. I'd never heard them when I was a kid, and it was
So it's an absence of love.
Yeah.
So they're there doing their duty as a parent?
yeah, they're doing their duty as a parent, but yeah, I don't know what the word would be, but then they weren't there like for me,
Yeah.
I guess. You know,
Yeah,
what I
that
mean?
you didn't feel supported and you
Yeah.
didn't feel like they expressed love in a way that made you feel loved.
Right.
That's quite very hurtful. I can relate to that. That's very hurtful for a child, especially I was also not sure if weird is the right word, but definitely different and knew it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been diagnosed with high functioning autism, but it's in my family, and I'm 99.99999% certain that when I look back, this is only just recent, last few years that I've realized this and go, that's why I struggled so much. Oh, wow. So I can relate to what you're saying of just feeling like almost like I'm looking through life through like a glass window and everyone else is on that side of the window and I'm on this side of the window. Very fucking scary and feel very disconnected and alone. And that feels like, for me, felt very, I used to famously go and hide up in the tree. I did this for years. In my front yard. In my head, I'd be thinking, let me see if anyone in my family will come looking for me, and that will tell me if they love me or not. And they never came looking for me, not once. Now, that's not a big deal as an adult because I realized they could see me from the kitchen window.
Right.
But as a child, this was definitive to me that I wasn't loved in my family, and there was other things that led to that. But from your experience, were there things like obviously you said before that you didn't feel that love? Do you relate to what I shared?
For sure, definitely. That for sure, because by the time I was 12, we were living in Mildura.
Yeah.
And that like mum and dad arguing, things like that, and I was 12 years old and I couldn't be at home. I was breaking down.
Gotcha.
Like I was breaking down, and I'd do anything to not be there. I'd outride my bike all day, come home 8 o'clock at night, things like that.
Didn't feel safe at home.
All right. Hope you're enjoying the podcast thus far. Just want to take a moment of your time to ask that in exchange for this amazing value and guests and hopefully some entertainment too, if you guys have liked it so far and you want to see more, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. At the end of the day, you can continue just to watch and all those type of things, but it does actually have an enormous impact on the level and quality of guests that I can have. And that just means better interviews for you guys. And it also means more impact in the world. The more men that can come across this channel and see this information and see the types of topics, the things that we're talking about, that can change another man's life. So if you've got value, pass it on. Pass on that value by hitting the subscribe button. With that said, guys, let's get back to the episode. Bye for now.
I always felt safe, but not. I could never be vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say if someone was picking on me as a kid or something, I could never be like, Mum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Type of thing. And I guess by the time I was 12, I remember this one time my dad was trying to stop me go out the front door, and I love him to bits, but I broke his ribs.
Wow.
Trying to get out of the house. Like that's the type of I didn't want to be there kind of thing.
Wow. Sorry, continue.
I was just saying, and I after that, like it had happened on a daily basis. I would 12 years old, I would walk out the house and just walk around the streets all day. That's all night. Sorry, that's kind of a way of me escaping. And 3-4 o'clock in the morning, it just become a habit. They would call the police and just sit back and wait for 3-4 in the morning, just about every
At 12.
night. At 12 years old, yeah, walking around the streets. Man, I remember I got punched in the mouth over a 30-cent ice cream cone.
Wow.
So,
And just by some other random person that was on the street.
yeah, drunk, 40-year-old drunk man.
Wow.
So that was...
So I'm just trying to understand from what you shared. And by the way, thank you for sharing. It's obviously a very vulnerable thing that impacted you for a long time. So yeah, thank you for sharing it, especially something that's so vulnerable. What I'm trying to understand is, like, to me, the streets sound, for a 12-year-old, especially with drunk older men hanging out and all these other things, like obviously like a dangerous, unsafe place for a child. Yet you found safety and solace in that over
being at home.
Over being at home. And when I asked you before about, you know, was it unsafe? You're like, no, it just wasn't love. It sounds like an extreme place to go to, like to be able to end up, you know, fighting with your dad in that way.
Yep.
Like, what sorts of things were going on inside you that you, like, we don't have to talk about the parents thing, but in you, what were you were just angry at them?
Very angry. And I think at the situation, I think mum and dad were doing their own thing, but I don't think they realised the impact that they were putting onto us kids. I'm the youngest boy of seven kids, so
Wow.
it's definitely been growing up with a lot of brothers too. So
What were they like? Were they also doing what you were doing?
some yes, some no. So my second oldest brother or third oldest brother was in jail.
Yep.
My second and third oldest brother were in jail, and I don't know. It makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was similar, but it wasn't the same kind of thing. It was they all moved out like around 17, 18 kind of thing.
So they clearly, obviously, if they've ended up in jail and they obviously moved out at a young age, they clearly also, maybe they're different to you, right? They didn't have the exact same interpretation and experience, but they clearly, it was a place that people weren't, and your parents probably just, like you said, they're just doing the best that they could, but they just weren't equipped with the skills to give you guys the love, the support, and the safety and the environment that was conducive to want to be at home.
Well, I think my mother was around 25-ish at the time, and my dad was around 17 when they had their first child.
So they're very young.
So they were also still trying to figure their life out.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe they got themselves in a bit of a rut, I guess, and were just plotting along, doing their thing.
Yeah.
Like that was it for them, I guess. They thought that was it for them.
Yeah. But obviously for you, you're angry and going, hey, like, I'm feeling like this, like, do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're obviously plodding along, not doing anything. So then do you think you going out, like for me, like, remember how I shared my story of hiding up in the tree?
Mm-hmm.
I can laugh about it now because it's funny but at the time it wasn't funny. If I want to, I could get to an emotional place thinking about it now.
Yeah.
It was not funny. For me, this was 110. I already felt like I wasn't loved to a very deep level. And I would sit up in that tree and this would be 100% confirming truth that they'd be better off without me there and that I was a burden to the family. And this is a very young age, you know what I mean? So this is like, I think when you are on the spectrum,
Yep.
that this deep level of disconnection is a very pronounced feeling, more so than the average child. And so what I was here, I guess my question to you is, for me, what I was hoping for is that they would come looking for me. Do you think there was an element with you going out? Of course, you're leaving the safety and all those other things, but was there, if you reflect back now, maybe this is something you've already reflected on, but do you think there was a part of you, a part of your little boy that wanted them to come looking for you instead of call the police on you?
I never really thought about it. My philosophy was like, if I can't get love here, I'll go out and find it. So even 12, 13, 14, I'd be sitting at the bars and pubs and out the front.
Well, obviously you're 7 foot, just under 7 foot,
6'9", 205 centimeters.
6'9", right? So you're over 2 meters tall. You were tall at that age, so that's how you were getting into bars.
No, I actually wasn't. I was the short, fat kid. But I think it wasn't so much getting into bars. It was like sitting out the front,
Hanging around
them, and people coming out for cigarettes, things like that.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, can I pinch a cigarette off you?
Pharmacy.
And then we'd just have a chat and stuff, like get a lot of wisdom off a lot of older fellas. So I'm like, yeah, really confused. Like, this man's telling me these kinds of things, and then at home it's like this. And
Yeah.
so I think...
So you'd ask them for advice about stuff that was going on in your life?
Yeah, like just from everything, man. That was a big thing throughout my teen years was...
Wow.
I guess there wasn't really much masculinity at home.
Yeah.
So I guess I just went looking for it, I guess, and I found it in a lot of older men, like a lot of older fellas, maybe.
The pub.
Like 50, at the pub, just having a yarn and telling me things that I like, learning from their mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, and in reflecting back now, do you think the advice that they gave, was some of it good, some of it shit? Like, what?
Of course.
Because obviously, if I hate to, I'm not trying to judge the fellas at the pub, and of course, any advice is better than no advice, right? Just to feel seen and to feel heard and to have some conversations with people is already healing in itself, right?
Well, that's what actually was brought up maybe around 2 to 3 months ago. Was because I had a lot of trouble with cannabis and drugs, or just a substance to try and numb myself, I guess.
Numb all of the emotions and all the things that you're feeling.
Yeah, and it like I went to the source, and it was like, why am I actually smoking? Like, why am I drinking? Why? And it was turned out it was connection, and it was love, and it was things like that I was after, and I just managed to find it in substance, and I would numb myself. Yeah.
Do you know? I'm sorry, but do you know how fucking wise that is? I'm 37 and have done a copious amount of drugs from 14 through till early 30s, and I mean like a lot. Like you could fill this room with them.
Right.
Right. And I only just discovered at, I don't know what age it was, but only in the last few years. And I actually sat here on another podcast and somebody asked me that, why were you doing all those drugs? And I literally, as you said that, I was like, I was seeing myself in a mirror.
Right.
Because I said those exact words. I realized that actually underneath all of the drug use is I was just looking for connection. Yeah, 100%. And what did I say earlier about in the childhood, especially for high functioning people, is that it's disconnection. What's the opposite of connection? Disconnection. I literally feel like life was like I wasn't able, I didn't understand. I would look at someone and I just didn't understand anything. I learnt the world not from the bars, but from watching movies.
Right.
That's how I understood people. So I was like, as you were saying that, I'm like, fuck me. And that's why I gave you the clap. Said to figure that out, how old are you?
25.
To figure that out at 25, you did it 10 years before me, and probably like it's amazing. And I just want to honor you for that, man. That's a big deal and a very courageous thing to face that, because, well, now you know the truth.
Right.
So what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Well,
I go on my journey. I go back to that car accident thing. I have a journey. I have things to do. I have people to help. I have a mission. I'm not 100% sure on my mission. Yeah. But I have a rough schematic on my life.
And you're sure about finding it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're sure about what was there like in that. If we go back to the car accident, we'll probably jump around a little bit today. It's fine. If we go back to that car accident for a second and you're in the white light, was there a place of like Because I'm trying to say, was there a moment of like making any contracts isn't the right word, but like agreements? Because obviously you're begging to come back. Was it like, were you saying, was there like any agreements? Okay, buddy, I'm going to send you back stretch, but you've got to do this for me? Or was it like, and again, not verbally, but like knowingly?
I don't think so. It was more like, because I did this. I've said this from a very young age, since when I started driving cars and being an idiot. I said to myself, if I get to age 30 and I'm still alive, I'm going to wrap myself around a tree. And the fact that I'd said that so many times to myself over the years, and then I genuinely believed that, and then that kind of happened, and I'm like, whoa. Whoa, like I got to take a step back, and you know what I mean? Like it's, yeah.
What do you like in reflecting? Like, what do you take from that now? If you were just to be honest, okay, this is what I believe about what I just said. What's the meaning that you give to that?
Would you be able to say that again?
Like what's obviously what I took is that you shared that you had this thing you kept saying over and over and over again. I'm going to wrap myself around a tree, and then at 30, and then it happens at 25, and what you just shared with me was realizing that you did exactly what you said you were going to do.
I manifested it, yeah.
Manifested it. You kind of, it sounded to me like you were kind of, that was like a defining moment of you realizing maybe like my mind's really powerful or something like that. Like what, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. After realizing I said something and then it happened, what was the distinction or the meaning that you gave to that? Did you think, oh, manifesting's real? Did you think, like, what was it that you took from that?
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. I guess. Yeah, well, it is. It's a powerful thing, and I never believed any of that hoo-ha stuff.
Yeah.
But around 3-4 months ago, I wrote down 6-month goals, and I wrote down 12-month goals. And nearly every single one of my 6-month goals is crossed off within 2 months, 3 months.
Wow.
So,
wow, I can relate to that. Was jumping on a podcast with somebody one of them?
it actually wasn't, no. But the 12 I've actually got my book in there. It said the podcast will go number 1 for self-help.
There you go.
So,
dude, I'm absolutely loving this. Okay, so let's skip back for a second. So childhood, you felt, or in early teenagehood, you felt really disconnected. You felt alone.
Very alone.
Very alone. Yeah. But at this stage, you haven't really made the connection that we're making right now, which is that that's quite a common thing for people who are on the spectrum, right? You're just thinking. And you've also got the proof in your home life to kind of, a bit like me, how I'm confirming it to myself when I'm up in the tree. They don't love me. Like my environment. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is this is how you're feeling, but you don't really know that there's a component of that that's coming, not from necessarily just the family, but also from inside you.
Right.
Lead me into, obviously right now you're going out at night, it's 2-3 a.m, you're getting some wisdom, be it positive, helpful wisdom or just anything, but ultimately you're getting connection from other people. You're getting the cops called on you saying he's a missing person, he's out, we don't know where he is.
Yeah, he's run away again. He's a runaway. He's this, he's that.
Yeah. And you said it happened multiple times. How did you feel in those situations when, and like, was it like, hey buddy, come and hop in the car? Or was it like, hey, handcuffs, hop in the back of the divvy van?
Just chuck in. It got to a point where they all knew me. They were like, "Up, we're going back home." Like, there he is.
But you're riding in the front seat, you're riding in the back seat, you're riding in the back of the divvy.
In the back of the divvy for the most
Gotcha.
part,
Okay, gotcha. And how many times have you had to like guess that? Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Wow. And when you got home, your parents, were they angry? Were they upset? Did you speak to them?
They were upset that they would be woken up. They'd be asleep. The cops knock on the door, wake them up. Yeah, right, go in. And then I'd go to bed and then do the same thing the next day.
I get that you did the same thing. I'm really curious. What was it like? Like when you go to bed?
I was disappointed. I was like, how can I go? I'm going to go out again. Like I couldn't stand it at home.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to go back out.
Yeah.
So,
And when you got home and you were going to bed,
mm-hmm.
were you just exhausted, so you just fall straight to sleep, or were you up thinking?
I guess it was a bit of mixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be a bit of argument back and forward, like, yeah, I guess because I've woken them up or they've been woken up, things like that. They'd have a bit of a fucking back and forth, and just go isolate myself, I guess.
Yeah, and like I'm curious, did they gradually, like, let's say it happened the first time,
mm-hmm.
was that their reaction different to then say, the 150th time?
Yeah, of course. It was just like
what changed from the first time to the last time?
Oh, I think just consistency. They got sick of it. They were just
like at the start, were they? I would imagine, but maybe I'm wrong, that the first time you did it, they're not upset that you woke them up.
I don't think I can answer that, to be honest. I don't actually know. But
that's how you felt regardless as things progressed.
Right.
Mm.
They'd just, yeah.
Because that's hurtful in itself.
Mm.
To me, I'm thinking, like, because I was a very sensitive boy,
mm-hmm.
I'd be assessing everything, someone's behaviours, to see if I'm loved and whatever else. Like, I would imagine if I'm putting myself in your shoes back in that situation, I'm thinking, I've just been out all night. Aren't they worried about me?
Right.
Aren't they? Do we? We're different humans, so I don't want to project my stuff onto you. But what were you thinking in those times, or it was just so bad at home? You're not even thinking that type of stuff.
I don't actually think I was thinking that type of thing. It wouldn't even cross my mind.
Interesting.
And being so disconnected as well. There is a large part of my childhood and teens that I don't remember.
Mm.
Like, I was going back when I went to court a little while ago for that car accident. I was looking at my old charge sheet, and I was like, there's so many things on there that I don't
even remember.
Yeah, I don't even know I'd done or anything like that. I'm like,
do you think you were high, like, were you on drugs when you did those types of things, so you can't remember it that way, or do you think that you've kind of blocked some of it out, or just think you're so at the time you were so not yourself, so disconnected that it's almost you're in zombie mode.
Yeah,
you're just doing stuff. You're not actually present to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never found, like, I was smoking cigarettes and stuff when I was like 12, 13, but it was around 13 or 14 when I first started smoking cannabis.
Yeah.
And then it went on to like that. I didn't touch drugs until I was mid-teens, I guess. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I was just so disconnected, and so maybe I guess it was traumatic a bit. Yes. So I just, like the crash, it just blocked it out, and it didn't want me to see it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, painful experiences, our brain obviously protects us from experiencing certain things and locks them up until we're ready to deal with them, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So you said you did cannabis, like 13, 14. Were there other drugs that you ended up getting involved in? Because cannabis, doesn't, maybe I'm wrong, but doesn't exactly lend itself to lots of crime, does it, cannabis?
No, it got to a point for me it did, because, I don't know, I was so dependent on it that I would be angry without it.
Yeah, gotcha. So it's not on the cannabis, because I was going to say, normally if you're smoking cannabis, you're just on the freaking couch eating with the munchies, right?
Right.
You're not exactly but it's the absence of the cannabis that would get you.
Yeah,
because that's your way to kind of numb, and not feel the things that you were feeling. So you kind of do anything to not feel that.
Yeah, and like I said, it got to a point where it wouldn't even do anything to me. I'd just be smoking it just as, I guess, a habit, like a thing to do. Like I'm putting my mind onto that, not onto myself, or just sitting there in my own torment.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so you didn't end up. Weed was your thing.
Weed, amphetamines, I was 16, 17 when I first
Yeah.
smoked it, and I first smoked it out of a wine glass.
A wine glass. Like you mean like meth or ice, something like that? Yeah.
Like ice.
Yeah, ice, yeah.
So
Yeah, I smoked ice. It's some pretty crazy stuff. Did that escalate things for you?
yeah, definitely.
Stupid question.
Doesn't it all? I went from stealing chocky bars to maybe pinching someone's phone, or then to stealing cars, to punching, like bashing people, to and eventually I went to my most severe crimes were armed robbery and home invasion, which I don't like going back and talking about that one.
Yeah, we don't have to. But yeah.
I feel like I can here,
Yeah. Okay.
but I don't like it. I don't like those.
Well,
It was the darkest point in my life.
yeah, and it's tough. It's tough to go back, especially when we've changed. I can relate to the forgetting of things, just blocking them out. As I've gotten older, and I have kind of created a safe space for myself to take on the things that I kind of did and those types of things. You let things go. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you if you want to dive into it, but it's not necessarily super relevant for
what
we're doing. But at the same time, if you feel like you want to share, I'm also, I'm a coach. I'm more than open to just create a space for you to share things that maybe felt shameful, but that, this is not a place where you're going to be met with anything like that.
Well, that wasn't me as a person.
Exactly.
I was easily led, I guess, by others. The people that I thought were my mates.
Yeah.
The things that I was doing was like, I'll go steal a bottle, and like I was paying for my friendships. If you know what I mean. Like, oh, look, I got some money. Let's go get a bag and let's go get some drinks and I stole a car. Do you want to go for a drive or something?
You were doing things to get connection again.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah. Does that stuff still obviously like it now that you've woken up essentially? Do you find that kind of weighs heavy on your heart from day to day, or do you?
It does. Very, very shameful of it. Like I can't. Almost like I can't believe I've done that. Like, why have it like?
Because it wasn't, in a sense, and maybe other people might disagree with me or whatever, but I feel like it wasn't you. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the real you.
Yep.
Had, that version of us that when we're unloved, when we feel hurt, when we are desperate for, when we've got emotions and things like that, and then that leads us down a track of, say, drugs as a mental health coping strategy, and then that changes our, ice especially is a massive, huge impact on your psychology. Obviously, we've seen that on the news and all sorts of stuff. Like it's not yours. Yours is, the ice leading to that is quite a common. A common story of people who go down that track, especially if they don't have that loving support. Because if you do, you do those types of things, or you're almost about to do them, and then you think about the people that you love or that you feel loved by, and you don't, and it's just enough for sometimes, not everyone, but sometimes, it can play that thing in our mind to stop us from doing things. But what's that? Sorry,
I didn't have that. I don't think it was. I guess I found a thrill out of doing it. That was love from doing
your boys.
Stuff and
There's in the absence of love, there's also like just feeling powerful. That can be a nice drug in itself. And getting acceptance. These are not like feeling, they're not the same as love, but they're like good substitutes. Not necessarily healthy substitutes, but chemically for our bodies. All right, so we've laid the bedrock here. You basically, were struggling, internally in a lot of pain.
And I didn't know that I was struggling as much as I did, I
Yeah.
guess. So,
Yeah, because it's painful to admit that you're struggling. It's very painful. And you also, you're young now, so, you're even younger then. So this went on and these hundreds of events happened. Did you go to jail at any point?
well, after about, say, 4...
You got caught for some of those things?
Um,
The raids or cars or whatever?
yeah. A lot of them I did. Most of them I did. Should say all of them I did.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was 14 when we moved. Like, it was very, like, stealing things. I never stole a car when I was in Mildura.
Yeah.
It's when we moved down to Bendigo.
Yeah.
When I was 14 is when it really started to escalate.
Mm.
I think I got a bit more aware of myself, and I kind of knew the fact that I couldn't be controlled at home.
Yeah.
So I was never at home. I still had a room and stuff there, but I was never there. I was staying at friends' houses and I'd sleep on a bench park or something like that.
Yeah,
You know
wow.
what I mean? So, or steal a car and be out all night.
Yeah, and then
just go back home and sleep all day or something like that. So,
wow, I'm so it's I'm sorry that happened, but I'm grateful that you're here now and that you had this amazing, life-changing, life-saving experience.
yeah, for sure.
It's like if it didn't happen,
It saved my life, that's for sure.
there's a common question that gets asked on podcasts: what's the worst thing that turned out to be the best thing? Is that your thing?
That and the fact that I went to jail, because I didn't see it at the time, but yeah, I didn't see it at the time, but it woke me up quite a bit quite a lot going to jail, and it changed a lot of things, but I was still doing stupid things, you know what I mean?
So you had some awareness that you didn't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that would be?
Yep, because I
Before you were just doing whatever the fuck you wanted, and you're like, rah, rah, rah,
I was
and
like,
then,
I'm invincible. I can't. Well, me going to jail, and there I was.
and then you're humbled in jail, and
Mm-hmm.
you have an experience like, I don't actually like this. So one part of your mind is committed to the old version of you, and there's another part. There's like a crack in that identity.
Yeah, and I kept.
And a new, and that's, I think, where we manifest situations like this, because deep down we are unconsciously kind of crying out for a change of some, some nature. And when you can't make the change yourself, I think that, I think the universe, God, whatever you want to believe, whatever that voice is, that higher consciousness, it says, okay, I hear your call. Let's see how bad you want this.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always ask people, like experts stuff on the podcast, like, do you think people have to hit rock bottom in order to change? Or do you think, like, listening to this podcast, people could get the wisdom? And a lot of times it's like it's different for everyone. You can't save anyone. And sometimes, especially as men, we're so freaking just caught up in what we're doing that, sometimes you do have to wait till everything's fallen apart until you finally get the freaking message, or at least have the experience of being in a place that you're ready for change. But you obviously had this, if we could call it like a divine intervention. So we're back at this car.
Yep.
This is the lead up to it. There's a part of you that wants out.
Yeah, definitely.
A part of you that wants out.
But
somehow you end up in a police chase.
Yeah, and that still puzzles me to this day, because my mum said to me, she goes, you were going up to the service station to get a light bulb or something like that for the car. And then I was like over the other side of the suburb, and I was like, I don't know what I was doing there. It's like, I don't know why I was there.
So you probably lost a bit of memory. Do you remember? Do you remember right up to the moment you crashed?
I don't remember.
Don't remember that
the morning at all. No.
Gotcha. Okay, so okay, gotcha. So And then, so you don't remember the last half an hour, 2 hours leading up?
The whole day.
The whole day, gotcha. So then you've had this thing. You go through the windscreen in a car chase with the police that you don't remember.
Yep.
Maybe you stole the light bulb from the servo
station.
or something. They chase, or maybe you got petrol, you didn't pay, whatever. But they've chased you.
Well, what had happened? I was driving down the road and I stopped at a roundabout because I seen the dash cam footage, and they were like here, and I was here in the roundabouts here, and apparently I just took off from them. And just
You just saw the cops and thought, "Fuck this."
yeah,
And
and it's puzzled me while I was there. So because it's not near a servo or anything like that, so it's like it almost feels like I was brought there for a reason, like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only conclusion that you can kind of draw from it.
Yeah.
And then especially couple that with the event that you had. So you've had this near-death experience. You've gone through the windscreen, and that already is like trauma impact on the head. You've hit your head on the tree. You've had this conversation or this telepathic white light, place. And by the way, if you guys who are watching or listening to this I said this at the start of the podcast, I actually sent, when Stretch and I were talking on Instagram, I don't think you'd seen any of those, they're called NDEs, it's like a common name. You'd never heard of it. And I sent him it just, again, completely serendipitously, I'm just met him on Instagram. We're kind of chatting just back and forth a little bit. And then that night, I hop on YouTube, as I normally do, and out of nowhere, algorithm pops up an NDE. So I start watching it, and I felt like I don't want to like bring up any trauma for this guy, but I just feel like I need to send him this, like, because you shared with me that like I went somewhere. I don't know how to like. Clearly people are seeing this and going,
What the fuck?
he was not spiritual. He wasn't on a journey prior. You probably were. You were on a journey, but not consciously. And then you had this. Now you're saying, hey, wow, I went somewhere. I'm leaning towards becoming someone who I think maybe believes in some stuff like this. But NDEs, you can look them up on YouTube. Thousands of people have these experiences where they all say the same thing. They either have the tunnel or they have the white light, and they have different experiences there. But
I'd never even heard of one before that, and it was I'd try to explain it to my dad, and he was like, "Oh, what is it? You're there like they're waiting to take you, waiting to drop you back off. Like what's happening?" And then I mentioned it to my sister and to my mum, and they thought I was borderline crazy.
Yes.
And I just didn't really. I was researching it on my own, like trying to find answers, and then like that video you sent me just put the last puzzle piece in, and I was like, it took me a day or 2 days to reply back.
I remember because you were really responsive, and I'm like, oh shit, I hope I haven't triggered him or like,
Yeah, so it really sent me, and I was like, wow, that's the answer. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So.
For me, as I shared with my, because I was very anti-spirituality, anti-religion until a few years back.
I'd laugh at you if someone told me about that. I was, I
me too. I'd think, what a load of bullshit. Like these people have, like they've got some sort of psycho.
I'm going to drop a bomb here. I think that comes back to maybe also operating at a higher or lower frequency. Like some of these foods and stuff you eat, like they keep you so you can't physically think those type of things.
Yes, 100%. You weigh yourself down with all these toxic foods and stuff like that, and you're very much body's in that lower frequency matter as opposed to eating like high vibration foods like lighter foods and vegetables and fruits and whole 100%.
That's also that's since that crash, that's what I had been eating
just rubbish.
Different. Yeah, like beforehand, it'd be 2 days before I eat because I'm just like, what the why? You know what I mean? But like I started changing my diet and things like that, and then I started realizing all these things. So it's I think that also played a big part in finding out like all these things. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't have many people around me that believe what I believe, so you're a bit confused. You went somewhere, it was real for you, and it's this experience and so visceral. You've come back, and then obviously you said you didn't really make agreements per se, but you just felt like you had begged so intensely that you were going to, it's almost like you're doing a declaration to yourself in a sense. So you've come out, walk me through after this event, like you go to hospital?
Yeah, I go to hospital. I was there, I think it happened around 12 or 12:30, and 9 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock that same day, I walked out of hospital. So
You're kidding. Just unscathed.
just walked out. I was obviously limping. My hip was a bit cooked, staples in the back, but nothing compared to what I should be dead, man. I should be dead.
Wow. Walked out the same day after head first into a tree and gone through the windscreen and hit your head on the tree. It's a miracle.
It is. It was every single day. I write 5 reasons why I'm grateful, and waking up every day is my first one.
I don't often find myself speechless on a podcast, but I'm just like completely blown away by this. I've seen like it's one of those things, especially coming from being someone who was very, just anti, and then going through my own journey, very different to yours, but not so different with regards to the drugs and doing naughty stuff. And I didn't go to jail, so not to that extent, but then my journey was through doing like plant medicines and drugs and like other like healing form of drugs per se, but still going to those.
You got an ego death in a different way.
Exactly. I got an ego down with the lingos now as well. I had crazy ego deaths in other ways where, and I wouldn't even say, yes, I had the ego deaths, but what stood out to me about your story is not so much the ego death, but the realization of, I'm going to mess this word up, but like unequivocally that there is another place, a spirit realm, a higher consciousness.
For sure.
And going, fuck, that's real? I've been judging everybody, and I almost like, and who do I talk to about this? You know what I mean? None of my friends. Luckily, I had my wife who's very spiritual, but my dad's spiritual, but from a religious perspective. So I almost felt like shame. Like I don't really want to tell him what I'm doing. He's probably going to judge me for it.
Right.
But I can only imagine what it was like for you in Bendigo, having gone from like jail not 1 week, but however many months ago, and car chases and this, to then just literally yours was overnight. Mine wasn't overnight. Mine was quite a lead up, and then of course the night that I did the plant medicine, that was the night, but it was a lot of lead up to wanting a spiritual journey, having someone in my life who was very spiritual, whereas you've got none of that. You just wake up, you walk out of hospital unscathed, besides a bit of a sore hip, after going through a windscreen of a tree, and you're literally walking out like Jesus Christ and it's like
the light,
like he's just like arisen again. You've had this like, what was that like? What were you thinking walking out of the hospital?
Well,
and what was and what was it like going back to your parents? Did they know that you had a car? By the way, Mum, I died. I went and spoke to God or this other high consciousness. Like, were you, or did you go back, and what was your experience of the same environment now as a different person?
It's almost like seen through people straight away. Like I almost seen it straight away. Like, my mum was like this because X, Y, Z, or and I don't know. Like,
you could see the truth rather than the reflection of what you believed about yourself, using them as the reflection of I'm not loved or I'm not this, or like
it kind of really was like these things have happened because, like, not to blame anyone, but these things have happened because of this and because of this. Like, things just started making sense. So.
But overnight, you didn't go and do 10 years of therapy.
No.
You had a spiritual experience, and then instantly you looked at life completely differently.
I knew I had to change. I think So around 10, maybe even 15 years ago, my uncle had a stroke, and he was like me when he was younger. He was he'd smoke a lot. He was drinking, like he was the black sheep.
Yeah.
And he had a stroke, and he was a dud. Like he
Yep.
couldn't do anything. He couldn't shower himself, couldn't
Yep.
wash himself.
Gotcha. Fuck.
Nothing at all. He was overnight he was vegetable, yeah. And I couldn't even see him, man. I couldn't even like see him like that. Now, we didn't have a whole lot to do with family and stuff like that, but it was around a month later, after my car accident, he'd passed away.
Yep.
And it's almost like he's given his life so I can have mine, kind of thing. Like,
Wow.
it was like not wasting 2 lives here.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish mine up early. And
Like a form of sacrifice, give you a second chance.
Yep, that's what I feel.
Like a trade.
Right.
Wow.
So, and yeah, that I have talked to my dad about that, and he agrees, like, big on that. He's like, wow. And even now, and my dad said he feels this. He's not a spiritual person at all.
Wow.
But he says he will go and do something, and if he knows it's not right or something, you get a shiver down your whole body.
That's what he gets?
He gets it, and I get it as well. And it's like
your uncle's there
saying,
directing
me to on the right path. Yeah, if I'm thinking a bit crap, or I'm doubting myself, or maybe I'm in a supermarket and impulse to go, oh, well, should I steal this? Or
yeah,
I'll get a
but
shiver.
those old unconscious patterns.
Yeah, they that are subconsciously, I guess. But I trying to, like, I am breaking them slowly. I'm obviously not 100%. Well, we'll never be 100% there, but
yeah. You're growing. It takes time, but you're not stealing cars. And you told me that you're doing your best to stay off the drugs. And
I haven't touched drugs for 2-3 months. That's just cannabis.
Epic.
Before that, it was about 4 months for alcohol.
Yeah.
And cigarettes, and it was since before Christmas was cocaine, and meth was a long time, like 7 years or something like that. I haven't touched.
Awesome, well done, bro. Yeah, because that stuff. It's hard. It's hard because it's serving so many parts of us that are hurting.
Well, as they say, you don't just give up an addiction; you find a new one.
Yes.
And I think I've found that in like food and the gym.
Yeah.
And something deep down, I don't know what my purpose exactly is, but I know it's on the line of helping people. So,
dude, you're living your purpose right now. Sharing this story.
I've never felt more comfortable in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
this is what's called alignment. When you're out of alignment, this is my belief. I learned everything the hard way, and I realized it wasn't that I was being punished and hurt. It was that I was actually being redirected to where I was supposed to go.
Right.
That was your car crash moment. That was a jail. God started off with jail. He said, let me see if I can shift him back into some better stuff. This is a good kid. He just didn't have the love, didn't have the support, didn't have the guidance that he yearned for, and that hurt. And I've seen him suffer. And if I let him keep going the way he's going, he's going to continue to hurt himself.
And other people.
So, okay, the jail didn't work. Okay, cool. We got to step it up a notch.
It's like,
and yeah,
to the extreme.
to the absolute extreme. But some of us need the extreme. Some of us need the extreme things to happen to shake things up. So now you're saying you're clean off the drugs. You're finding your purpose. And what I'm saying is, like, you said you made these goals for 6 months. You've knocked them out in 2. You've got some goals for 12 months. You're 25. You're on a podcast called the Make Men Great Again podcast. And 7 months ago, you were living that life. It's just I'm still wrapping my mind around it. It's unbelievable. just the overnight change. So let's go into this. Actually, sorry, last thing just before I forget, I want to talk about goals for a second.
Mm.
The relationship with your parents.
Yep.
It was very hard before. What's it like now?
So between me and my mother, we can talk. We can talk without arguing, but
Because you would have hurt them as well.
of course,
Yeah.
definitely.
That might take some time.
Right.
They didn't have the car crash.
And there's also there would be a lot of anger from them towards me, like
Yeah.
vice versa, kind of, not to blame anyone or anything,
Yes.
but yeah. So I don't know where we're going with that.
That's right. No, it's fine. So my question was, what's the relationship like with your parents? And you were just saying that your mum, like it's a work in progress. Have there been changes? Because sometimes, like even just from your side, even just by the fact that you can see them, you're not going to probably add as much fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I definitely back off. I maybe if I find my old girl trying to maybe, get in between the cracks or something, I'll just let it slide. Or say if she says something, it's water off a duck's back. But
Yes. You don't take it as personally
yeah, definitely.
because you can see the truth.
I definitely don't. And it's like, I think this come up in your podcast once before. Hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I can't. I'm breaking that generational curse, I guess.
Yeah.
Not having it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what about your dad?
Well, going from breaking his ribs when I was 12 years old to I can talk to him not as deep as I'm talking to you.
Yes.
But he actually said to me for the first time a few months ago, or maybe a month ago, he said, "I'm fucking proud of you," and that it done something to my heart, man. It was like, wow.
It's a beautiful moment, man. I'm sure that's something. Do you meditate?
I don't.
Okay. We'll have a conversation about that after the podcast.
I've tried.
Do you ever close your eyes to do visualization?
I've done breath work.
Okay.
But no, I'm kind of trying to find my tribe, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. So,
I've looked at Buddhism.
Yeah.
Like what is it, like the Muslim culture, Christianity, things like that, and it's like nothing's really screaming out to me like this is your one, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I know I keep going back to Buddhism, but I don't know.
Well, Buddhism is probably closest thing to more of the spiritual, the spiritual thing, from my perspective, anyway. But the only reason why I asked is because when I do gratitudes, visualizations, one of the things I do is I don't just write them down. For instance, I will go back to the times in my life where I was grateful and I relive those moments.
Yeah.
So the day that I got married was a beautiful moment. The day my daughter was born was a beautiful moment. The day that I don't know, got on the podium for triathlon, or the day that I don't know, really saved someone's life with my coaching, or whatever, just beautiful memories. It's an amazing thing to do. And I was just thinking about your dad before, because I feel like that's as I was going, because that moment, like even just now when you thought about it with your eyes open, it brought something into your heart. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Try that with your eyes closed,
Right.
with some headphones on, in a state and a frequency of like really accepting it and visualizing it, and you'll just anchor that into your heart more and more and more and more and more. But it's beautiful, man. And it's obviously you're not just changing your own life and the next generation if at some point you have children, but you're really having a ripple effect into the lives of your family and your brothers and stuff too. What are they like?
So
like in relation to this experience, do you talk to them? Do they?
not really.
They're still kind of struggling.
Yeah, I think they're on their own. They're on their own
Journey.
path, their own journey. Me brothers, I think he's stuck in the rat race. He's got a little daughter, a missus that he doesn't really get along with too good. But the older brothers, I don't really talk to them because I think it was implanted values, like
Yeah.
mum saying, "Oh no, they're crap. Don't talk to them. This and that." But I talk to them now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're just on their own journey.
Yeah.
There's no one in the family like me. Like
Yeah.
I'm so different to everyone. It's I don't know.
Some might say, and this is because I'm quite different from my family, and it's been hard.
Yeah.
Because they've got their own little posse. So I've definitely found it challenging, and I've gone through the thing of trying to be like them and trying to please them and then now I'm just kind of being myself, and I'll let them come to me type of thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why I shared is because some might say that the reason why you were born into that family to be different is because you have an important journey. You have a mission. If you look at the most average life, people have a partner they don't like, typically have to do a job they don't like. The most of society, if you look out the window and you think of most people's lives, they're all pretty similar. You buy a house, you get a job, you have a car, you have a couple of kids, and da-da-da. If you are hanging out with your mates and going to the footy every weekend, if you've got close-knit communities of friends, the things that we crave the most, you're going to be tied into that. How are you going to have the time to work on
Yourself?
Yeah, that, but also a larger mission, a larger purpose. Some people are meant to go through certain adversities to give them certain strengths, characteristics, stories. Those stories that are going to impact millions and millions of people. So, that's just a perception that I sometimes have, and I go, okay, cool. If I had everything I ever wanted, if I had the parents and the love and the connection I wanted when I was a kid, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I kind of, like you said about looking through and seeing everything.
Yep.
I think because I also, you sometimes think, I wished I had a tribe. I wish I had this. I wish, like my brother's catch up. He's got 20 best mates that he's had for 20 years. I would have loved that at times. But then I think, hold on a second, I travel the world now with my wife, back and forth to countries. I've got a podcast. If I had all the things that I wanted, I could still be an electrician right now. Or a personal trainer, or I could, it's the fact that I had all these hardships that led to living a different life. First it's the black sheep, but then the black sheep,
it makes sense.
It stands out on purpose. It wasn't negative. It was meant to happen exactly like that.
That's I'm a big believer of that too. I never was, because I was like, oh, gee, why is all this happening?
Yeah, because it hurts.
Why is this? But it shaped me to who I am now. I don't know who I'd be. You know what I mean? If I'm even here, like if I was even here. So.
Yeah. So 25. You've just hit your 6-month goals in 2 weeks.
2 months.
If I could 2 months, sorry. Imagine I'm a magician right now. Okay, I can wave a magic wand and you can create any life that you want. Let's just dream a little bit for a second. Let's just have some fun. We'll wrap up in probably 5 minutes. But for now, I just want to give you the space to just dream, because when I was growing up, people didn't dream. Especially I'm from Shepparton. I'm not Mildura, but Shepparton's kind of a similar scenario. It's a country mentality, crabs in a bucket, everyone's the same, and if you're different, so we won't go into that, but just dream for a second. I can wave a magic wand and you can envision leading any life. Who are you? What does that future version of you look like if you were to kind of describe that man? As like, what's he doing in his life? Is he married? Has he got kids? Is he running a podcast? If you could just do anything you wanted, is he helping younger kids with autism, with a NDE? Like, what is it? What was it you would love to do just right now? It can change.
There's many things. Disability is one, and I'm really been looking towards like mindset, like helping
Yeah.
people with their mindset who's struggling. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like not so much a coach or something like that, but yeah, I would like kids eventually too. I think it's up to me if I don't have kids. The last name Smith won't go on. It's
Yeah.
my brother's like I'm the only person, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
can keep the Smith generation going. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wander us for a little bit here. I think I'm doing this. There's a part of me that's doing this for my great grandmother. She was Polish. She was in Poland around World War II, and she basically her and her sister was getting led to the chamber, and she left her sister behind so she could escape, and she basically got out on a boat, just her and her clothes on her back, and she migrated on a boat over to Australia.
Wow.
And that's a big motivator for me because she didn't do all that for a dud generation, you know what I mean? If she would have found out what
what you and your brothers were doing, she dodged the chambers for that gives you a lot of like fire and purpose and going.
I think if she found out what we were doing and stuff, she'd turn around and walk straight back in there.
Wow.
So she's, I think she's a hero for me, and she doesn't get enough credit for it. So
well, she's getting some credit now.
Fucking oath.
You're nearly making me tear up.
I'm about to tear up, man. But if it wasn't for my grandmother doing that,
none of you guys would be here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. None of us would.
Yeah. Beautiful leverage, as well as I really feel excited for you, man. I think we can have some chats also off the podcast. If I can be any support for you, more than happy to be there for you as a friend or as a mentor or anything like that. But I think what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you.
I really want to honor you for you've spoken so well today. I can see that you've got such a beautiful heart, and I'm excited that you get to kind of really, you've let go of all of these things that were holding you back, and you're only 25, and you got your entire, like most people, Stretch, they don't get the epiphany or the experience that you've had their entire life, that feeling of being able to see things clearly.
Yep.
And being able to have enough leverage and enough of a spiritual shift to really change. And so it's just, it's just awesome to see, man. I'm really excited for you. I think you're going to do amazing things. And if there was anything you wanted to add as a final piece to anyone, I really feel like as an example, my little brother, he's tall as fuck too. He's a gun basketball player, and he's high functioning on the spectrum. Had a lot of issues, kind of growing up, but he's really on the straight and narrow now, and he's found spirituality as well from a different place. But I'm imagining he had my dad, and my dad was fantastic with him. So I'm imagining so many other people out there who felt how we felt. Maybe they're doing drugs right now. Maybe they're just lost and hurting. They're not feeling loved. What would you, is there anything that you just feel called to share as a final kind of point that's just anything in your heart?
I guess anyone going through the same boat, just, you fucking got this. And if you're struggling and need a hand, message me on Instagram.
There you go.
Baz 3.8.
Love it. Guys, powerful story. Thank you so much for watching. We'll put all of Stretch's stuff underneath wherever we're watching, Spotify, listening, whatever, YouTube. And Stretch, thank you for coming down and making the effort to and having the courage to reach out to me and having the courage to sit on this podcast and share all of this stuff. Like, it's absolutely awesome, man. I'm blown away, and yeah, we'll put all of your links to stuff. Love to see you on the gram, and yeah, excited for you, brother. Thanks for coming on the Make Me Great Again podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys, for watching. Definitely follow Stretch and his journey. And this is the Make Me Great Again podcast. We'll see you on another episode. Bye for now.
What an awesome episode. And if you want to watch more, just click the button here, or here. Watch the next one, and we'll see you soon.